All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are joined by Ole Miss head coach Jamie Traxel, players Aaliyah Benford and Lexi Brady. A reminder to media members, please silence your cell phones and to give your name and media affiliation anytime you ask a question with the mic. Recording of the press conferences with cell phones is prohibited, and if you want to ask a question on Zoom, please raise your hand. So, Coach Traxel, if you have an opening statement, feel free. If not, we'll go to questions.
Just want to congratulate all the teams that have made it to a pretty special place. We know we're in great company here. You can have a great team, and the challenges they get here are really tough. So in saying that, I'm really proud of our team, the journey that we've been on, especially the last few weeks, and what we've been able to kind of overcome going into some pretty hostile and adverse conditions against some great teams at Arizona and Arkansas. So proud of the journey and the season that we've had. We have one more chapter in our story, and we're looking forward to having a lot to say about it here in Oklahoma City. But very grateful, very proud to be in great company, and super proud of our team for what we've accomplished the last few weeks and earning the right to be here.
Okay, go to questions. We'll start in the front row left with Jenny.
Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Aaliyah, watching you in the circle, you're very serious. No emotion showed. Can you just talk me through keeping that poker face on? And I noticed when you guys clinched a spot here, that faded away. Kind of take me back to that moment too.
Throughout my years, people have always told me that I smile a lot on the mound, but sometimes in my brain, I kind of have to be serious because if I'm smiling too much, I don't think I lock in. But I knew that was a very important moment for my teammates, and I wanted them to know that I was just as locked in as they were. But yeah, once we clinched it, it dropped, and I was all smiles.
Jamie, I have a wholly different question for you. There's been a lot of talk about seeding with this tournament, whether seeding 1 through 32 or 1 through 64, or even potentially reseeding once you guys have the 8 for OKC. What are your feelings just about either of those scenarios?
You know, it feels like there's so many objective components to it that it's hard to understand, maybe what goes into what qualifications and how those are kind of laid out. Even for us and where we went, it seemed to be kind of a geographical decision versus maybe kind of the seeding piece of it too, which, there are people that have to make tough decisions, and I just think maybe if there's a more consistent, components that everybody knows in the parameters that kind of know what field they're playing by, the rules of engagement, I guess. But it's hard, hard to get here either way, even if you're hosting. Obviously, we kind of proved that too. So, I think there's some outliers out there, but I know everyone has a tough job in trying to put people in the right places. I think our parameter was a little bit more geographical when we went out to Arizona. Just based off of how much Ole Miss has gone west for postseason too, and maybe what teams are part of that. But it's postseason and anything can happen, so you got to be able to play your best when it matters the most regardless.
Okay, we go front row on the right here.
Brady Vernon, Softball America. Just Jamie, with all the newcomers and even the assistants, just how cool is it to see all that come together to where you guys are now today?
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but to be on, to answer your question directly, I can't even put it into words tell you how proud and satisfying it is. And it's a lot of work starting last summer, and maybe part of it is identifying the right coaches, got the right coaching staff, the right freshman group, the right returners. I should start with them. The right returners that stayed because they were committed to Ole Miss, and myself, and had a lot of trust and belief in me to make the right choices and bring in the right people. So the retention of those players to our staff, and then obviously some 8 transfers as well, all of them playing a role. It was us to kind of figure out the puzzle, to develop them, to figure out how those puzzle pieces fit together, and then to continue to build them, as we move through the season. And I got asked a lot throughout the season, each and every week, and my answer was always the same. I said, we're going to keep getting better. We have too many new pieces to not. Even as a new coaching staff, to come back and have the conversations, roles and responsibilities, what those conversations are pregame, in-game. And I thought we could be a team that was on the rise when it came down the stretch. And all that actually kind of came true. But we just had so many new pieces that I just thought it would take that amount of time. And I think this is probably the team, I don't think I've ever coached a team that has maximized the whole season, getting better, using the lessons learned, the adversity that you go through to continue getting better throughout the season. We had lost a handful of extra inning games until the Florida game in the SEC tournament. We had the lead, they tied it, and we won our first extra inning game after, I think, going 0-5 off extra innings, and then losing game 2 and coming back in game 1, Arizona's environment to Arkansas's environment. So I'm just proud of how they've continued to get better, to buy in the investment, the resiliency that we have, and the pride in the fight that we show.
Okay, we go to second row on the left, Scott.
Scott Wright with the Oklahoman. Lexi, I wanted to ask you about Aaron Earlywine and the impact that he has had, particularly with you guys. And Coach, I'd like you to weigh in on that as well. But also, was there any hesitation given the way things had ended for him at Missouri, even though that was a long time ago?
Yeah, I'll probably start with that, and then Lexi can go. I'd actually talked to Aaron the year before, and so him and I played against him several times back to North Dakota State, so there was a familiarity there. We'd had conversations, both being in the Midwest. He was always really good to me. There was a lot of time, obviously, that had elapsed, and when I talked to him the previous year, everything, just like any changes and decisions that people make in their life, the timing has to really line up. And this past year in April, May, and June, the timing was right for both parties, and I had 100% confidence in just the conversations we had, and obviously his body of work speaks for itself. He's an elite coach. He did it at Georgia Tech, built it at Missouri, and there's one thing to be able to win, but he knows how to build it, how to coach in it, how to develop. We have a lot of winners on this coaching staff, but Aaron's been incredible, but again, his body of work speaks for itself in that regard, and what him and Bobby Buchanan have done with our offense, it's why people are texting us, man, you guys are fun to watch. They like the confidence, the freeness that we play. We have a lot of personality on our team, but we play our best when it's like that. But part of that is the offense is just explosive and been fun to watch, and all the credit goes to those guys and what they've been able to do. It's credit to our players. Lexi's had 3 hitting coaches in 3 years, and that's not easy to do. But I think she led the way in just opening him and Bobby with open arms, even though it's different than the 2 they had before, and buying into that and kind of saying, hey, you tell us what you want us to do, and we're in. So, but again, just year 1 are really challenging. We always talk about that. So you have to stay the course and really commit to the process, and things can work out. They just probably worked out even sooner than we thought, maybe here this first year.
Yeah, I think obviously a phenomenal coach with his body of work behind him, but just a great person. I love working under him. We worked together just the first day he was on campus. We had a conversation. I was like, it's my senior year. Let's do this right away. Don't be afraid to, dip your toes in the water. Let's get all into this right from the jump in the fall. And I think there was a big trust that was built between the players and him. And I think he felt open to work with us, and we were very receptive to him from the first day he was on campus. He was great in making relationships with us through the fall. He's only been my coach for a year, but I feel like I've had him for a long time, and him and I even reflect on that once in a while. But just a phenomenal person, a great coach, but just the confidence he's instilled in our offense, you can really see it play out on the field, and he just knows different ways to win, different pieces to kind of use and win. And I think just our ability to get here and then the change in our offense kind of speaks for itself.
Okay, we go second row on the right.
Grace Wasoli, SECsports.com. This one's for Alexi and Aaliyah. Could you just talk about being here in OKC and what the moment feels like and how you guys are just taking it in, especially being towards the end of your careers and being able to just take in this moment?
Aaliyah, you can go first if you don't mind.
Yeah, the moment is just, can't really put it into words. Obviously, it is our last year, and we've worked our entire careers to get here. I've played on this park plenty of times, but never in this environment. And I think that's what makes it so special, and just being able to do it with the girls that we have and see that we all have the same vision, the same goal, and the same excitement to be here is just amazing. And it's really hard to put into words, but we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we were actually just getting on the bus, pulling in. I was like, last time I was here, I think I stood in a line over here to get a T-shirt, as a kid. So I think just the nostalgia that comes with this place. I mean, you grow up watching the best athletes and the best in our game show out here. And I think just taking a moment to realize that like we've put ourselves in a position to like be in those shoes is really a surreal moment. I don't know if it'll really hit me until we're, game 1 against Tech, but just blessed, I think, the progress that this program has made. And I knew that this team would be really special, but just seeing that we actually made the decision to work really hard to get here is really something I'll always remember.
Okay, we go front row left, Jenny.
Jamie, you don't sound like most people from Oxford, Mississippi, being from the upper Midwest.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could talk about what you've learned over your years there at Ole Miss, just about, the place and how it values softball, and then
Yeah.
sort of the wider picture of the SEC just continuing to have more and more programs finding themselves in this place for the Women's College World Series.
Yeah, I'm from Minnesota, and we had gone to the World Series, and then COVID hit, and Ole Miss called, and I didn't know too much about it, to be honest. And so from my first Zoom call, it was really comfortable. And when I came for my visit, I spent like 6 hours with just a handful of people because it was in the heart of COVID. And Shannon Singletary, my direct boss, was one of them. Keith Carter, our AD, the SWA, and then head compliance. And I sat with Keith. We sat in a team room and talked basketball and golf and Tiger Woods. And we just ate. And I was like, this is a place I felt like was home, even though it was in the South. And I've never lived in this area. But the reason I made that move was just because they believed in me and trusted me in the vision that I had, and it was the same vision that they had. And there's one thing to share a vision, there's another to wanting to invest. And I think you see the investment and the commitment that they've made to coaches and salaries and allowing me to hire who I believed would help us get to this point. The new stadium that we just have, the way that we travel, how involved they are, it's nothing to see all of our administrators at a practice, at a game, traveling with us. Shannon Singletary has been on the road for 4 weeks with us, and he's part of our program. He has a great relationship with our players. And so, and then Oxford's an incredible college town. It's a cool college town. It's similar to when I was at North Dakota State, where there's no pro sports in Mississippi. So they're so passionate about their programs and the schools that are in there, and obviously in the SEC, because we're in that country now. And people show up to support, and women's athletics are respected. They're invested in at Ole Miss, and being there is a big deal. So, and then your fans will show up and support you. So I'm excited for the progress we've made since I've been there, and certainly the future that it holds, starting with the history that was made with this group. And but it's an incredible place, and it took me a couple years to adjust to the heat. I'm not going to lie. That was a little challenging, but people are friendly, they're nice, they're welcoming, and now for me it feels like home. And our administration and just Ole Miss in general and the community have made me feel like that.
Okay, our last question will be to David, third row on the right.
It'll be like a double question here. David Collier from the ABC in Lubbock. For Coach, give you a second to think about this, about their offense, Texas Tech's offense going into tomorrow. But for the players, you guys kind of mashed your way here, and now you get to go head-to-head with Nigeria Kennedy. I guess your thoughts on that matchup going against one of the best pitchers in the country as an unseeded team that maybe a lot of people aren't giving enough credit to be here.
Aaliyah, you can go first if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Nija's an amazing player. I've been watching her. We're good friends. But I think we put in an immense amount of work, and we're ready to step on the field. We're just going to stick to our plans, and if we need to shift our plan, then we shift our plan. But I think this team is ready, and to prove that we also belong on the field just like everybody else does. And, we've shown that all season. So it's just another game. It's just another game for us. We're not going to make the moment too big. We're not going to be up there thinking, oh, my goodness, this is Nija. I'm Aaliyah, that's Lexi. So it should be the same thing for both teams.
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, every arm and every offense, every team you face is of the caliber to be here. So I think, like Aaliyah said, not making the moment too big. And I think just like the first team that's going to settle into the game the quickest is going to probably find the most success in the end. So I think that'll be a big message for our team. So just not letting the moment get too big, or who's in front of you too big, or even for the pitcher who you're facing in the box make it too big. But I think right now we have a very hot offense, and we're there to compete. And obviously Kennedy has a lot of success behind her and is a great arm herself. So it'll be an exciting matchup. I think one that we're all looking forward to. But obviously we're here to compete and we're here to win. So having that competitive mindset and settling into the game and ready to go from the first pitch.
And I guess the question on their offense was just we've, playing in the SEC and then even the last 2 weekends when we went out to Arizona and we faced a lot of lefties because they have a lot of lefties, that bunt, that slap, they steal bases. So when you looked at GCU to Arizona, I think that helped us. When I kind of look at them, I think of that preparation and, fortunately we're not playing on the field that Arizona has. That's a very challenging field to play a lot of slappers and lefties on. And I know that they have their leadoff as their lefty. They have other lefty hitters. But again, when you get to this point, you start to envision and picture who you've played against that they kind of mirror a little bit. And I think that regional, that's where I kind of put them because we face so many lefties in the lineup and kind of how they put different balls in play, how they are aggressive base running, the challenge stealing bases, regardless if they get thrown out. It's just part of their game. So, we'll be prepared and ready. But I think our conference and then who we've played in postseason and the environments that we've been in really prepare us for this moment.
All right, that'll wrap things up. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great tournament. Enjoy it.
And Heyman Communications.